How to be a good car salesman. Check it out. What's going on, everyone? It's Corey. So I want to make this video for those of you who want to know how you can be a good car salesman, right? This is going to be very valuable for you, especially if you're a beginner, regardless of, where you are in the stage of your car sales career. If you're experienced, I think you can still pick up some key points from this video. But especially if you're a beginner, this is going to be like the beginner's guide for you to be a good car salesman. So I personally got into the car sales industry when I was only 19 years old, right? And I got into it because I was just looking for jobs and opportunities that I can make a high earning income potential, right? Without the need of a college degree. And then I came across car sales, right? When I got into car sales, I remember looking across, where I started, which was really at a Chevy dealership. Didn't stay there for too long. Then I went over to a Toyota store, right? And I remember seeing at this store, all these people selling, 20, 30, 40 plus cars. And I always wanted to know how to do it, right? And I'll ask a bunch of questions. They wouldn't give me much answers. I kind of had to figure out a lot of this stuff on my own. And I did a lot of my own research to figure out what was it that was required to be good as a car salesman. So I wrote down 8 points, right? That helped me become good in car sales. Because my very first year selling cars, I was able to make $150,000 selling cars in my very first full year, right? And then also I made $218,000 in just 9 months of selling cars as well, right? And I got the pay stubs for both, that you can see, right? So I wrote down 8 points for you to help you be able to be the best possible car salesman you can be, especially if you're a beginner. So let's jump into number 1. All right, so the first key point that I can give you is your mindset and your approach to what you're doing. All right. So as a car salesman, I see a lot of guys, they get into the game and they have the mindset that they're just working another job, right? My mindset and my approach, especially down the line, that helped me the most was that I am operating my own business within a business. All right. So you need to have the approach that you're operating your own business within a business. It's not just another job, right? Because if you don't sell, you don't get paid. You don't get paid by the hour for car sales. For the most part, you're going to get paid commission, right? You get paid hourly for your draw, but your draw is not your real commission, right? They're going to remove your draw from your commission check. So most of the time you're going to be paid 100% commission, which means you're operating like a business owner, right? Businesses don't get paid unless they make sales. Same thing in car sales. You're not going to get paid unless you generate sales and generate business. Okay, so you need to have the mindset that you're running your own business within a business. What's going on, everyone? So a lot of you may be interested in figuring out how you can sell more cars or just make more money in general. Listen, click the first link in the description to join the Smarter Salesman University community. Once again, click the first link in the description to join the Smarter Salesman University community. I'm looking forward to helping you out, see if we can share some nuggets with you. More importantly, looking forward to meeting you. Let's get back to the video. And you're going to find out some of these points are going to, mix in with each other, right? Because as a business owner, I always say you don't sit around and wait for opportunities, right? You go ahead and create them. So that's going to be a point here that we're going to touch up on later. But the mindset is the most important thing because that's going to, influence your approach to what you're doing. And your approach should be that you are running your own business within the business. You should have the mindset that you're also a trusted advisor as well, right? As opposed to somebody that's just, trying to sell them something. Like you're trying to help people get into a better situation. You're trying to help them, pretty much get around whatever obstacle that they might be facing at the current moment. That's the approach that you need to have to the game. It's like, okay, I'm a trusted advisor. I'm running my own operation. I have my own business within the business. People come to me when they have an issue, and my job would be to guide them and lead them in the right direction. So you need to have the mindset that you're running your own business within the business, and you need to look at yourself as also a trusted advisor, right? As opposed to somebody that's just trying to pitch them a product or service. Okay. So that's number 1, mindset. Most important thing. If you don't have the proper mindset, you're not going to have the proper actions. And then without the proper actions, you're not going to get the right results. It's very simple. It's a trickle down effect. So let's jump into number 2. And number 2 is going to be income producing activities. Okay. And it's exactly what it sounds like. All right. When you're at work, you need to be focusing on doing income producing activities, right? Is going out and, talking to your next sales rep at the coffee stop, is that an income producing activity while you're at work? No, right? Sitting around just texting, whatever, checking in with your friends later, what you guys are going to be doing, and having a conversation with them while you're at work. Is that an income producing activity? No, right? So income producing activities. When you're at work, you need to be focusing on working, okay? You need to be either making phone calls, you need to be either posting, making content on social media so you can start generating, more customers, whatever the case may be. Anything that you're doing should be directly related to producing more income. If the activity or whatever it is that you're currently doing, if that doesn't correlate to more income, then you probably shouldn't be doing it while you're at work, okay? So income producing activities is one of the easiest ways that you can check yourself, okay? Whatever it is that you are doing at work, if you sit there and ask yourself, okay, is this something that's going to directly correlate to me making more income, aka generating leads, aka making sales? Is it yes or no? If it is, you can do it. If it's not, you probably should cut it off, right? So this is how you form good habits. This is one of the key things. Most guys I see when they come into, the car sales industry, they're just sitting around, pretty much not doing anything, right? They're sitting around waiting for the opportunity to come in, waiting for the up, waiting for a phone pop or whatever the case may be, right? They're not actively doing something that's going to help them produce income, right? You can go to the service lane, talk to people over there, right? You can pick up the phone and, start calling people in your CRM. You can post content to try to generate your own leads, create ads, whatever the case may be, post cars on social media, on Facebook Marketplace, doesn't matter. Try to do some type of activity that's going to directly correlate to you getting more exposure, getting more leads, aka getting more income. All right, so income producing activities is number 2 of how you can be a good car salesman. Let's jump into number 3. So number 3 is going to be create your own opportunities, right? And this ties into number 1 of having the mindset that you're running your own business within a business, right? Like I said, most car salespeople, they get in the game, they sit around and just try to work the dealership's opportunities, right? They don't think about creating their own, which can put you in the box, right? Because if the dealership is slow, guess who else is going to be slow? You're going to be slow, right? If the dealership doesn't have a lead coming in for the day, you're not going to work anybody. You're not going to see anybody for the day, especially for those of you who just sit around outside and wait for the up to come in. That's a majority of car salespeople's strategy, is like come to work, stand outside, wait for the up. If nothing comes in, they don't make a sell, they don't get any opportunities. I don't see how people can think that's a good strategy for the long term. Maybe when you just get started out, you stand outside occasionally, but you still need to be focusing on income producing activities, right? And figuring out ways for you to start creating your own so you don't have to rely on the dealership. Me personally, my favorite way of doing it was through social media, right? I was able to combine like organic marketing right on social media with paid marketing, and then I was able to start generating business and leads for myself, right? As you can see my Corey King Automotive page, you can scroll down, you can see all the customers that I sold cars to, the type of content I was posting. The ways I was able to generate leads was primarily from social media. Majority of my business that helped me make the income that I have, right, the 150,000, the 218, was through primarily social media, generating my own leads, having customers come to me, to the dealership, say, hey, I'm here to see Corey. Car salesman will think it's an up. They go and try to walk to the customer's like, nah, I'm here to see Corey. And they're mad because they're thinking it's an up because they've been standing outside for 2 hours when I'm just inside waiting for my customers to come in while I'm working on a new one that's supposed to be coming in, right? Trying to book appointments, staying active, right? So create your own opportunities. That is the 3rd key that I can give you to be a good car salesman. That way you can also gain some leverage, right? You don't have to simply rely on what the store has going on. If your store is slow, guess who's not going to be slow? You're not going to be slow because you never had to rely on them in the first place. Whatever they provide for you, I always say should just be extra food on your plate, but it should never make up your entire plate, which for majority of car salesmen, it absolutely does. So that's number 3 of how you can be a good car salesman. Let's jump into number 4. All right, so number 4 is going to be learning the car business. All right, and when I mean learning the car business, I literally mean from top to bottom, is to the best of your ability, right? And this is going to require for you to ask a lot of questions. When I first got started, I remember a lot of people used to tell me, hey, you ask a lot of questions. Like I used to annoy the managers, the insurance person, whoever it was in front of me that seemed to have some type of information or knowledge that I didn't. I would always try to ask a bunch of questions to learn, right? So learning the car business could, includes things like the sales process, right? From start to finish, the meet and greet to the close, right? Learning every step of the way, the transition between the next part of the process, things of that nature. Learning the common objections that you get in the car sales industry. The price, right? I need to think about it. Whatever the case may be, you need to learn the common objections and then how to overcome them, right? The banking approval process, like, okay, what are the stipulations that banks look for? What's the way that they approve customers? Why do some customers get declined? Whatever the case may be, you need to be asking a bunch of these questions to your finance manager, to your manager itself, right? To whoever, to even the customer. It doesn't matter. You need to ask a bunch of questions so you can learn the overall car business, all right? Because when you learn the car business, you can learn, how to pretty much improve yourself in the car sales industry. The more you know, obviously, the less likely you're going to get taken advantage of, right? From whoever the case may be, the more earning income potential you can make, because if you can learn the car business, you can also learn how to make gross on certain deals, right? That's very important as well. Not just learning that, hey, I'm just trying to sell a car, but also, how money is made in the car sales industry. Okay, they bought this car for this much. They're trying to sell it for this much, the pack is this much, whatever the case may be, bank fee included. You just learn the entire system of how the car business operates. That way you can know how to properly maneuver and position yourself to put yourself in the best position for you to succeed inside the game, right? So how to be a good car salesman, number 4 would be for you to learn the car business. And I mean, like I said, from top to bottom to the best of your ability. Ask a bunch of questions, try to learn it. This is not something that's going to happen overnight, right? This is all things that, if you're planning to be in this game for a while, then you should learn the car business. You should be asking questions. You should try to feed for as much information as you can and retain as much information as you can for you, like I said, to put yourself in the best position to succeed. All right, so that's number 4. Let's jump into number 5. So number 5 is for you to know your inventory, okay? If you're gonna be a good car salesman, you need to learn your inventory. Notice I didn't say like learn the product, right? The product is important as well, right? And I would say down the line, part of learning the entire car business for where you specifically work out would be for you to learn the product as well, which is going to come with time. But more importantly, know what you have on your lot, right? So every morning you should, part of starting your day would probably be that you should walk the lot, right? That's something that I did all the time, right? Was walk the lot, especially on the used car side, and also on the new car side as well, right? To see what type of new cars you might be coming in. You might have been speaking to a customer, 2 weeks ago, right? That might have said, hey, if you give me this car in this color with this trim, I'd be interested, right? And then now, boom, you walk the inventory, you see that car, you can call up, you can follow up with that customer and bring them back in, right? Used cars, right? If you know your inventory, you can know what type of cars you need to land people on when they come in. If a customer comes in and says, hey, I'm looking for, something that's around $15,000, $20,000 and the miles to be like 80,000, to like 100,000, whatever the case may be. If you walk the lot, then you can know, okay, cool, I seen this car this morning. There's a section that, these price cars are normally in. You walk them directly there. You could even start conversations with them prior to them even seeing, oh yeah, I actually seen this hot car this morning where it was a blue Honda Accord, whatever the case may be, right? And it had nice miles, it was super clean, right? I wanted you to come take a look at it. We just got it in. Boom, you start walking them to the spot, right? You can't do these type of things if you don't know your inventory. Most guys are just winging it. They don't walk the lot. They don't know what they have on the lot. Customer comes in and says, I'm looking for something. Oh, okay, let's walk the lot. You start walking the entire lot. You don't even know where you're taking them, right? So know your inventory. That's the first key. After you know your inventory, obviously product knowledge is also important, but I feel like knowing what you actually have in stock, the price ranges for them, the current mileage, whatever the case may be, these type of details are important for when you get a customer, so that way you can land them on the right car from the start, right? Knowing your inventory is important. That is one of the keys to being a good car salesman. It's also one of the keys to making gross on your deals, right? If you don't know what type of cars that you guys took in on trade, what type of cars you might have bought at the auction, you don't know like, okay, this car we're in it right, this car we're not, whatever the case may be. If you don't know these type of things, then you're just kind of winging it. You're letting other people guide you, and who knows if they have the best interest for you, right? So you need to be in control of this. Knowing your inventory is important. That is the 5th key to being a car salesman. Let's jump into number 6. So number 6, all right, on how to be a good car salesman is to have a plan. All right, they say if you don't have a plan, then you're planning to fail. And I would agree with that, right? When you just come into work and you kind of just wing it, right? I keep saying wing it because that's what a lot of guys pretty much do. They just come in and they're like a feather in the wind, right? Whereas it's gonna kind of take them in whatever direction, it wants to take them in, right? The wind blows this way, you move this way. The wind blows that way, you move this way. Essentially, however the dealership is doing, that's kind of how you're doing, right? So part of having a plan, right, would be for you to start your day early, right? Let's say you want to come into work a little earlier for you to walk the lot, right? Okay, you have a plan. You wake up every single day, you come to work, you walk the lot, for maybe 20 minutes prior to the day getting started. Let's say your schedule starts at 9, you come in at like 8:30ish so you can, get that out the way, right? Also set goals for yourself, right? If you don't have a plan, right, then you obviously don't have goals, right? If you don't have a goal, then you don't really know what you're going after. You're kind of just, like I said, going with the flow, right? So you need to have a goal, and then you need to have a plan for you to achieve those goals, right? Let's say your goal is to sell 20 cars, okay? You sit down and you do the math, okay? How many people do I need to see in order for me to sell 20 cars? If I know my closing rate on average is around 40 to 50%, okay? I need to talk to this many people. Okay, how do I get this many people? Okay, I need to create this much pieces of content, maybe create this ad, maybe make this many phone calls, maybe, walk up to this many people on the service lane, whatever the case may be. Having a plan is a part of that, right? And also time blocking your day, right? Time blocking your day to say, okay, at this hour, if I come to work at 9, from 9 to 10, I'm pretty much doing phone calls, I'm doing follow-ups, I'm, making content, whatever the case may be, and you stick to it, right? Time blocking your day. This is all part of having a plan, right? When you just come to work and you don't have a plan, you don't have any structure, and like I said, things just kind of happen to you. You don't happen to it, things happen to you, right? And that's kind of how a lot of guys kind of just get lost and the sauce, and then boom, they look up and they got 5 cars and it's the 28th of the month. And they're like, whoa, you know, it was a bad month, it was slow. No, bro, it wasn't slow, you were slow. All right, so that's what number 6 of how to be a good car salesman. Jump into number 7. So number 7 of how to be a good car salesman is actually pretty underrated, right? It's simply be likable, right? And when I say be likable, like I'm talking about most of the time at work. Obviously be likable with your customers. That's, you know, a no-brainer, right? Having a good attitude, but also when you're at work, right? Like if you're not a likable person to work with, if let's say your managers don't like you, well, you're gonna have a tough time putting deals together, right? Because your managers, a lot of the times they have a direct influence over the paycheck that you're gonna be making, right? Because a lot of the times they're the one approving deals or they're the ones declining deals, right? Okay, customer comes with an offer. Listen, the difference between the manager maybe saying yes and no is if they might like you or not. As crazy as that may sound, I know you're thinking, hey, we're running a business, but businesses involve people and people have emotions and people, you know, have the right, whether they like somebody or not. That's just the way things are, right? So if you're not a likable person, it's going to be hard for you to put deals together, right? You need to be likable. You need to have a good attitude, right? I'm not saying for you to sit around and talk to them all day or just be like the class clown or whatever the case may be. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying have a good attitude. It's pretty easy for people to like you when they see, one, that you're on top of your work, you come in, you know, in a great mood. If you're in a great mood, you're probably going to be able to influence them and put them into a great mood, right? So just being likable can help you be a better car salesman, right? Because that can help you put more deals together. That can help your managers maybe want to make more, do favors for you. Whatever the case may be, being likable all around is just going to be better for you to, you know, actually be better in car sales. If they don't like you, you're going to have a tough time putting deals together. You're going to have a tough time making income. And I know it because I've seen it, right? I've seen guys that they don't like and they'll talk crap about you in the back. You might not know it, you might never see it, but trust me, it happens. Like I said, businesses involve people, and this is kind of just what people do, right? People talk crap, people, you know, gather together. They say, hey, this person here, what's up with him, man? I don't know. And this person here, I like Corey, man. Corey's good. Every time he comes around, he's smiling, he's having a good day. He's putting cars on the road, whatever the case may be likable. Try to be as likable as possible. That way, you know, it can influence your production, right? Because trust me, it's going to have a direct correlation with your production. Don't believe me? Go ahead and be a dislikable person and let's see how many car deals you'll be able to put together. All right. So let's jump into number 8, which is the last tip that I would have for you guys. All right. So number 8. So number 8, all right, and this is just gonna help tie everything together, right? It's simply discipline and consistency. In order for you to be a good car salesman, you need to have discipline and consistency, right? Every tip that I gave you here, all right, if you don't have discipline and if you're not consistent with it, then obviously it doesn't work in the long run, right? I'm imagining that you're watching this video because you wanna have a long car sales career, or maybe you've already been in the car sales industry for a long time and you just, you know, wanna perfect your skills, or you wanna have an even longer career. But especially if you're a beginner, I'm assuming you want to stay in this industry because you know the earning income potential is high and you know it's pretty much like no other, right? And you want to be in it for a long time. Well, if you want to be in it for a long time, in order to maximize every tip that we gave you here, right, the key to making it all work is simple, is having discipline and consistency, right? You need to consistently have a good mindset. You need to consistently be doing income producing activities, right? Creating your own opportunities, consistently learning the business, consistently learning your inventory, right? Because I mean, listen, the cars that are here today is not going to be the same cars that are going to be here from 2 weeks from now, right? So consistently doing that, consistently structuring a plan. You need to have a plan for every day that you come to work, right? Being likable. You can't be likable for the first month and in the next 6 months, you're some dislikable guy. Like, no, it's not going to work, right? So you need to have discipline and consistency, all right? And over time, this is going to come easy for you. The longer you stay at it, obviously you start creating the habits, right? Once you have the habits, then it's easy, right? It's just kind of becomes who you are at the end of the day, right? You've changed your identity of yourself, right? So these are the 8 keys that I have for you of how to be a good car salesman. Like I said, especially if you're a beginner, I think this is going to be great for you, right? If you can take these tips and apply them, I know you're going to be successful in the car industry, because the car industry is very simple. It's very easy to be successful if you have the right mindset and the approach to the game, because it's simply a skills game and it's also a numbers game, right? Once you acquire the skills, right, you learn the business, like I said, and then you understand that it's a numbers game. You create more opportunities. You put those two together, it becomes pretty much impossible for you to fail in the car sales industry, all right? More people you talk to, the more money you're gonna make. The more hands you shake, the more money you're gonna make, all right? So leave a like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you want to see next, and I'll see you all in the next video. I'm glad you made it to the end of the video. I got 2 options for you. You can either watch the next video, or you can click the first link in the description to join the Smartest Salesman University community if you're ready to take your car sales career to the next level. I'm looking forward to helping you out, see if I can share some nuggets with you. More importantly, looking forward to meeting you. Have a blessed day.